Welcome to the Creative Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Caldwell, and I'm so happy you're here. Each episode, I take some time to chat with fellow artists about life, faith, and the impact of the arts.
The arts are needed more than ever, I think, particularly right now. We need creative problem solving. We need inspiration. We need to be able to be in touch with our inner self and with others in a healthy and constructive way. And that's what the arts bring.
Yeah.
And so having that as an integral and essential part of public education is just so necessary. And it's something that I desire for each and every child around the world, particularly within our public education system here in the United States.
Happy 2021! We are officially kicking off a new year. I'm so excited for all that's to come this year, and today's show is one of my favorite conversations so far. I'm joined by my friend Carleigh Dunbar, who is an artist-educator based in Jackson, Mississippi. She is passionate about arts and public education, and she and I have a really engaging conversation about the power of the arts, especially in public education. Carleigh is part of the dance faculty at Power Academic and Performing Arts Complex, or Power APAC, and has been there since 2017. Power APAC is a public arts magnet school providing advanced academics and rigorous arts training to 4th through 12th grade students. She also has a variety of experience dancing professionally and teaching in various capacities, including as an Adjunct Professor of Dance at Belhaven University. She is always looking to inspire, engage, and educate through the power of movement, and that's so evident in our conversation today. We talk about what it's like coming in as a first-year teacher and the diligence and perseverance that it takes. I love how she talks about, even though she had the passion coming in, that she had to grow into that position that she had been given. We talk about what it looks like creating a safe environment and atmosphere for students, whether that's online, now in our virtual settings, or in person. We also talk about the value in listening and hearing different perspectives and how the arts can help really foster that in students and teachers alike. Carleigh has some really practical wisdom for how we can support and foster the arts in education, and some great encouragement about being patient and present, especially in this season with the pandemic when it feels like everything has been turned upside down. If you're a teacher, I hope this conversation is inspiring and encouraging to you. And for those that aren't teachers, I hope it gives a little bit of a glimpse into the heart behind art educators and why we believe this is so important for our communities and for our world. Enjoy my conversation with Carleigh Dunbar. Well, I'm so excited that this is happening and that I get to talk to you and share it with the world. Yay! So, to everyone who's listening, I'm chatting with my lovely friend Carleigh Dunbar. I want to say Carleigh Chitwood, but she's married. And so, yeah, super excited to have you. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so honored to be with you, Rachel. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So we go back to Belhaven.
All the way.
All the way back. And actually, I was thinking about that. I was like, whoa, because I was your RA, right?
Yes, my freshman year coming in 2010. And I also was reflecting on the fact that I was like, and then I never left. I've been in Jackson ever since.
That's
10 years, which has been crazy.
Wow, 10 years. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. You probably never thought you were just going to stay.
No, I definitely did not. Really thought I was going to go all sorts of different directions. And even since getting married, and my husband's from Mississippi, we didn't think together that we would be in Jackson as long as we have. And here we are. This is what the Lord has had for us. And it's been great, but very unexpected.
That is awesome though. Yeah. And I was thinking back to some of my earliest memories with you probably was move-in day. I don't even know, some awesome moments of just connecting. And then one thing that stands out to me was we were singing into a hairbrush in the hallway.
Yes.
Was this Lizzie McGuire or something? I'm trying to remember.
Oh, I think it was Lizzie McGuire or something Disney.
Something Disney.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. I remember this memory very well as well. Oh. Good
Vivid,
times.
So.
Yeah. No, I think it was that was a hall party or something we threw for us. Oh yeah. Good times. That's because we were neighbors. Yeah. I was in one of the middle rooms right next to. Yep. Good times.
Such good times.
continuing on in friendship, me getting to be in your wedding and you in mine. Like,
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Super awesome. I know so many special memories. And one that, we were definitely got close in college and then post college a little bit when we were in, getting married and all that. But then I feel like we bonded on a whole nother level when you had appendicitis.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, yeah, and at the Audium Intensive, I'm in like Steve Rooks, who I think has been on the podcast before me, right? Yeah. So I'm in Steve Rooks like Graham class, and like something doesn't feel right, and I'm still like
doing all these
like
abdominal contraction movements.
I'm like, something's wrong. Yeah. And then I remember you being with me, I mean, the whole time coming back to your house and be like, I don't know, I don't feel good. And you're like on the phone with like my family members. And you were the perfect person to be with me because you were so calm.
Like,
the whole time. You were
so trying to remain calm.
Positive. So those were some of the like lowest moments of my life where I was in so much pain. Like even now that like, maybe this is too much information, you could edit this out. But even now that I've like been through labor, there was something about that experience that does like match and in some ways top. Cause like, there was nothing like, there wasn't a miracle on the other side. There was just like the loss of an organ.
Yeah.
That experience. Anyway, it was intense. And yeah, that if we weren't already friends forever, which we were, we're now like bonded together through that experience.
Bonded for life and beyond. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. But I could definitely understand that with, with having a baby. There is that miracle and there's sort of like built in, the way God designed it, like endorphins or something that I've heard of. I've not experienced this, but
no, they're absolutely all like the like love hormones, like the oxytocin, like start coming through. Like with my appendix, there was none of that. There were no good vibes happening inside of me. It was just negative. But you were the positive part, so you were great.
It was definitely that made it better. That was fun, and you actually handled it really well. Considering, I feel like.
It was a rough time, but then I got to recover like surrounded by friends. Just like
that was super great.
So it was great.
Nice to be with you. I'm glad that I was able to be by your side through that. So yay. I love you. Well, now that they know, one, you've had your appendix removed, and two, that you have a baby and that you're married. So do you want to share a little bit more about kind of who you are and what you're up to right now?
Absolutely. So yes, I am a new mom. I've got a 5-month-old at home. His name is Griffin.
Precious. Oh my goodness.
Thanks. We're quite fond of him indeed. But I, besides being a wife and a mom, I am an artist, an artist-educator. I think I'm coming to consider myself mainly an artist within the teaching realm. And for the last 4 years, I've been on the faculty of Power Academic and Performing Arts Complex, which we shorten to Power APAC, which is a public arts magnet school that serves 4th through 12th grade students in advanced arts and advanced academic programs. And it's part of Jackson Public Schools, which is the largest urban school district in the state of Mississippi.
Wow, yeah.
And it's just a gem. It's a really cool place to work. And so that's what I do full time now. I teach ballet, modern, and jazz. Those are the core of our program. And it's really cool because most of our students start in the 4th grade and they continue with us all the way through 12th grade. So the longevity of that, there's so many neat things about it. And it's the only program of its kind in the state that serves the specific, like the range of students that we do for like that amount of time. So it's just a really unique, special thing to get to be a part of. But that's what I do day in and day out.
Cool. And that is really incredible to have 4th grade through 12th grade. Because I work in a high school and in our district, we don't have dance in middle school, or elementary is probably pretty rare to have dance anywhere in the United States. So that's just super cool.
It's very neat. And it also brings its own challenges because you do go through, you're with a kid for 9 years, like you go through all the stages with them, the highs and the lows and the really lows. And getting to see them grow and develop as people is one of my favorite parts, I think, of this job thus far. It's only been 4 years, so I haven't gotten to see like a whole cycle of kids or anything yet. But it's really cool already how I've gotten to see kids grow over years and just blossom as they continue on.
So special. And I'm excited to talk more about that because that's like totally my heartbeat as well. So I'm like super excited. But before we dive into that, just curious, How did you get started with dance and what were kind of the early years like?
So I don't know if there was ever a time in my life that I wasn't dancing. My mom likes to tell this story about when I was not even walking yet, but she like comes into our like playroom, and
Uh-huh.
I'm standing on top of a rocking horse. Again, I can't walk yet, but I'm on top of a rocking horse, both feet together and arms out. And I look at her and
Whoa.
I say, ta-da. So I just like to perform my whole life. And that was just the consistency. I've always was a very artsy kid, and specifically this loved dance, loved movement. So started, taking dance classes from a very young age, and it just kept being my thing. I think all the way up through, I grew up in a school that was a lot more recreational. I think I was, and once I kind of like decided that I wanted to pursue dance after high school and pursue it as a career, that was definitely kind of outside the box of
Yeah.
the school that I grew up in. I think I was the first, if not one of the first, to go on and pursue dance, specifically like in a university.
Mm-hmm.
So I auditioned for Belhaven's dance department and was thrilled to get accepted. Again, that's where I met you. I found out about Belhaven through Ballet Magnificat's summer intensives. I
Yeah.
would go and study in Jackson with Ballet Magnificat, a Christian ballet company here in the summers, and that was always housed on Belhaven's campus. So that was my initial connection, and then ended up studying dance at Belhaven, and then unexpectedly staying in Jackson, and I've gotten to be part of the dance community here ever since.
That's so cool. And actually, I got to know Belhaven through Ballet Mag Intensives as well, or one Ballet Mag Intensive. So that's super cool.
There you go. I think there's
Yeah.
a number of us. It's great.
Yeah,
It's great for Belhaven, and I mean, it's
exactly.
great for Ballet Mag too. I hope the relationship is symbiotic.
Yeah, for sure. It's probably, yeah, it's just a neat community to be a part of. And I think whenever I went, did you ever go when they were still using the gym as like
No, I
studio?
came, I think right after Bitsy Irby was actually like built. So I've
Okay.
only ever known like Ballet Mag with Bitsy Irby. So I
Yeah.
never actually, but I've heard of like the gym dance studio that was
Yes.
there.
Yes. So after college, what kind of like things did you start off with before you ended up at Power APAC?
So the one thing I knew when I graduated was I didn't want to do just one thing. I
Hmm.
had so many interests. I wanted to perform, choreograph, teach. I had a really big interest in getting into the fitness industry.
Oh, yeah.
So I ended up pursuing some different certifications within fitness, and then I just jumped in. I was really blessed to have a lot of opportunities come up, and I took a lot of them. I took most
Yeah.
of them. I think there was a time there I literally had like 9 jobs at once. So I would just be teaching here, there, and everywhere. I'm grateful that I got the opportunity pretty soon off to start being an adjunct professor at Belhaven, and got lots of wonderful experience there teaching technique classes and choreographing for different ensembles. I was also teaching at private studios and teaching fitness classes at gyms all over the area. So just really, I mean, I just had all the pots boiling, and I loved it. I got to experience lots of different things within that time is when I really started discovering dance in public education, because one of those jobs was with an elementary school here called Casey Elementary. Casey is an arts integrated school. So they don't necessarily have like these specialized arts programs like for specific arts training like we do at Power APAC. Instead, their focus is more bringing arts into the classroom, which is
Gotcha.
a really cool focus. But they did have an art specialist that was part time on staff, or a dance specialist, should I say, dance specialist part time. So, and I became the dance specialist. I would
Ooh,
come in a
cool.
couple of times a week, and I would teach creative dance classes and find ways to connect that back into their curriculum. We made dances about science and about math, so fraction dances, and dances about tectonic plates moving and the earth
Uh-huh.
shifting. So, and I just fell in love with it. I loved being in that environment. It was also, to be very honest, probably the hardest thing I'd ever done. I
Yeah.
discovered there were a lot of unique challenges that wasn't necessarily prepared for when it came to teaching in the K-12 environment, and being a part of a kid's school day instead of a student going to school and then going putting on their leotard and tights and transitioning into their ballet class after school. I was in the middle of their school day, just like math class, and they had to
Yeah.
come to me just like math class, and they might
Exactly.
or might not want to be there,
Uh-huh.
but trying to figure out a way to engage and meet the students where they were at. And learning really classroom management for the first time. There might be, 20 something kids in the room with just me. And I had to, it felt like it was just like in real time. I was just like figuring out like, what do I do here? How do I
Yeah.
make this work? And it was this giant challenge in front of me, but I just loved it. There was just something inside me that just clicked.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and from there, I started kind of reaching out and thinking, okay, where else in the Jackson area is doing this, and discovered Power APAC and really began to understand what the school was. Power APAC is actually right down the hill from
Yeah. So
Belhaven.
we
And so
passed it
I
all the
passed by
time.
it. Yeah, I passed by it so many times, but I had no idea what was going on inside that school and the gym that it was. And so I just started reaching out. I remember just sending like a cold call email, if you will, of just like,
Uh-huh.
hey, I really like what you're doing. And can I do anything for you? I think I like listed off all the things I would want to do for them. I was like, I can be a substitute teacher. I can choreograph. I can this, I can that. I just wanted to be
Nice.
involved. And so I started substitute teaching for them. And then one of their longtime teachers retired and reached out to me and said, do you want my job? And then I had
Yeah.
this big like choice to make. It was like this really cool opportunity, but that means I had to leave all of my pots that were boiling,
Right.
and just invest, my life in one place. And there was a really big scary element to that. I think there was some escapism, I think, in having so many jobs. If one day that one didn't go well, most likely my schedule says I don't have to go back tomorrow. Or if, that class or that coworker was difficult, I didn't have to most likely face it for another week.
Yeah.
And there's something else to to the full time of, there's the day in, day out grind of, figuring it out and learning to make things work with your coworkers and students. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if I was quite ready, for that, to let go of all the things that I was doing. But I really felt my husband and I sought the Lord about it a lot. And I remember the Lord saying, Carleigh, right now, everybody has a little bit of you. He's like, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
calling you into this season where I want you to invest all of yourself in one place and let me grow you there.
Wow. Yeah.
It's exactly what has been happening for the last 4 years. Lots of
Yeah.
stretching and growing and refining. And it's been, again, continually challenging, but a very good time.
Yeah, that's so true. Speaks right to my heart as well. Because I'm like, yeah, it's a lot of investing and, like you said, stretching and kind of having to work through
Mm-hmm.
conflict and like face
Exactly.
all the things. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Would be pretty scary in a way to like leave what you've known and be like, okay, I'm going
Exactly.
all in on this one thing. Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
amazing. And I know we got to talk obviously like periodically over the years, but I feel like
Mm-hmm.
towards the beginning of that journey, we were kind of both. So this is my fourth year, sort of fifth year, but
Yes.
fourth year being like the full-time dance director.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were kind of both in that early stage of like,
And let's be real, the early stages are rough.
it's
Like when you're trying to
rough.
figure it out, like, oh man, no. And I can't say like, I remember at the time, because like on paper, just everything about this job was my dream job. And everyone just kept asking, like, do you love it? Do you love it? Oh my gosh, is it so great? And I just wanted to say yes. But it was the beginning, the grind. Like, it was so hard at the same time.
Hmm.
Like, I knew I was where I was supposed to be, but it was not this initial, like, oh my gosh, everything's wonderful. I really have had to grow, I think, into the position, and I've learned so much. And I really feel like I can say with my whole heart now that I love my job.
Hmm.
But it's been this growing process, which is funny because I knew like this was my heart, this was my passion. But then I've also at the same time really had to grow into it, I think, in a lot of ways, like in my abilities. Like I knew I loved this, but I wasn't necessarily good at it yet. Like there was
Yeah,
so much more that I needed to learn to really be able to do it well. And I'm still so aware there's so much more I need to learn.
for real. Me
But because
too.
of that experience, like I just feel like I've grown almost like into this passion that I had, which is funny because I think we're often, just attracted to things that we're already just like fabulous at.
Hmm.
And it's been this growing into the passion process, which is interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And it seems like, I don't know if you've seen this in the world either, but like feels like a lot of times with a job or things that we're doing, it's kind of like if it's hard at the beginning. A lot of times people are like, well, I guess it's not the right fit. I'm going to go off and do something else and figure it out somewhere else. But I think that there's just so much beauty in the fact that you've just stuck with it, and over time seen that come, along with the perseverance and kind of, I feel like there's another word that I'm looking for, but that's okay. The diligence, I guess, like you said, the daily grind.
I was like, yes, all those words.
All those things. Yeah. And it's so easy to be like, I just want to give up. And like, is this really even worth it? But figuring out like, what is it that's causing us to hold on, and like, what makes it worth it? Yeah, that's super good. So speaking of teaching and all of your teaching experience, I'm just curious, and I know we're both like definitely in the learning stages for sure still, but so far, what have you found to be kind of it sounds so education-y, but like teaching philosophy? What have you found to be like your heart in teaching?
I saw you pose that question before we did, and I remember very vividly, like when I was in my modern teaching methods in college, writing my teaching philosophy.
Yes.
I don't even know what I would think of it if I read it now, because I feel like I have just grown and shifted so much. So part of me wants to say, like, ask me in 3 years.
Yes.
Ask me in a couple of years and I'll tell you, because I feel like I am in this very much this growing stage. But I do think, like, if I was going to currently like sum it up, I do think balance is everything. And just this, for me as a teacher, this continued pursuit of finding the balance of like rigor and compassion, of having a nurturing environment that is full of grace, but also one that is full of excellence and very high standards, are artistically, also cultivating high standards of character within the culture of our department and within our students, like themselves individually. And then finding that balance, I think, is a big part of my teaching philosophy. I think I'm also this is kind of a new development. I think I sometimes like lean pretty hard on the rigor part of like, I like to challenge my students and really push them. But I think a new part of something that's growing with me as a teaching philosophy is the discovery that if something is not done in the spirit of joy, like if it's not fun, it's not going to be fun. And the fact that in and of itself is a teaching tool, and is really something that will probably push students farther in their abilities and even increase the rigor, because if you're having fun, people are going to work harder naturally. And I think that's a kind of a new teaching philosophy discovery for me, because I think I came in and got very quickly a reputation as being the very serious, tough teacher, which is in some ways like part of who I am. I am tough in a lot of ways, and will own that and like that about myself. But I think I'm learning much more that there is this balance to be had, and there's just different angles to come at kind of your goals for your students of what do you want them to achieve artistically and technically. And I think I'm coming more and more into the understanding of that spirit of fun and having that as an aim is not this like contrary idea to this idea of rigor, that they really can work together and create much more of the experience that I really want my students to have. And find the outcomes in their abilities that I want them to have too. And so if I can bring that to the table within the way I teach, within the way I facilitate the room, that's the biggest win, I think, in my mind.
For sure.
Or it's becoming that way.
Yeah. That's a really huge discovery in a way, because, it does feel like it's opposite sometimes. Like, oh, if we're having fun, then we're not really working hard, Super easy to kind of get into that mindset. And I think I agree with like the idea of compassion and sort of creating, like high standards, but then also understanding and caring. And obviously we always cared about the students, but like showing that in sort of more of a gracious way, like if they forgot what they were supposed to be wearing that day or whatever, those things. And so I think that's so beautiful, just your heart in that and kind of how that's grown over time. And I know I had one student early on who she was just very like resistant to me. And part of it is, when you come in, you're the new teacher and they're kind of like, you're not doing it like the other person did it. And that's totally normal,
Yes, but not easy, but very normal.
Yes. We had this defining moment in our relationship though, where it was like at the height of conflict, where she was being pretty disrespectful from what in my perspective, and then I was like trying to be the harsh, like, well, you're being disrespectful, here's the consequence, and that did not go well.
Oh my
And so
gosh, you're like telling me like a story that's happened to me like 50 times, like with a middle schooler. Yes, yes, yes,
yeah. So
exactly.
finally we get in one room together, just the two of us, and get to just talk about it. And, finally, I think for me, I realized, wow, we always say there's kind of the underlying stuff that's always going on in people's lives, or we call it like the second backpack, the stuff inside them that you don't see. But it really like opened my eyes to the fact like, wow, she's dealing with so much right now. And this is kind of like affecting her when I treat her in this way or respond in this more like intense, harsh way that's, bringing her back to really negative things from her personal life and things like that. And so it like totally opened my eyes. And then from then on, we kind of rebuilt that trust and relationship. And anyway, yeah, just it's so amazing how that empathy and compassion can completely change that student-teacher
Absolutely.
relationship.
No, and I think that's one of the biggest ways I've grown thus far in this job is I think when I started 4 years ago, I was very quick to just like, nope, that's the line, that's the boundary, that's the rule, like conversation's over. But then the conversation usually always escalated in some sort of like argument I found myself having with a 12-year-old. And I was like, wait, how did I get here? And so I've learned a lot more. I think just giving students the benefit of the doubt, especially when you enter into a situation, like starting out with more of like, are you okay? Or what's going on? Starting even just from a place of question and letting them express themselves rather than me telling them everything they've done wrong and why it was wrong and why the way they're reacting to me right now is wrong. Like I've grown so much within that ability. And I think also there's this time that passes, that the kids know me a lot more now. I know them. And I think there's that relationship. And again, the cool part about getting to have a student over 9 years.
Yeah.
And just getting to see that growth and, reference back to the rough times and just talk about, how they're now flourishing. And there's just that time, that longevity really kind of also is this undertone of, then when something does go wrong or something is great, like there's this deeper meaning and this deeper ability to express anything. There's just this greater openness because that relationship's already established.
Yes. So good. Totally. 100%. So I was thinking about how I think this is even more true right now. I mean, it's always true, but with COVID and online school and like all of the things, I know it's been like, okay, we just really have to reevaluate what's the goal here. At least for me, I was like, what is the goal? And so have you found that in your
Yes.
experience as well?
Oh, absolutely. No, so our district is all virtual this entire semester.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
I didn't realize that.
yeah, actually the only district I think in the state that is like 100% virtual. And it's been an experience and absolutely this reevaluating of like, okay, what do our students really need right now? And coming back, I think to a big conclusion of they need something fun, they need interaction, and they need a move.
Yes.
So how can I provide all of that and just my goal, be just simply becoming like, I want to be a highlight in your day where you can release and express yourself. And that's enough for right now.
Yeah.
I don't need to worry about the fact that I don't know if you're going to be able to tandu when I see you next. Like,
Exactly.
It's been so hard. Like it's all gonna come. And what can I do to be that support for you right now and let you continue to know that you are a dancer. We had this whole conversation in one of my classes the other day about like, do you feel like a dancer right now? And who gets to define who is a dancer and who is not? And what does that mean? And just wanting to affirm that, even though we're not taking class together 5 days a week like we usually are, and we haven't for months and months and months now, this is still a big part of who you are, and getting to provide that and let them hold on to that part of themselves that's been such a big part of them. For some of them, I mean, for 9 years with us, and that's a gift, but it definitely has taken lots of reevaluating of okay, what are we actually doing, and what is the purpose of dance, of the arts within their educational life, like right now? What do they
Yeah.
really need?
Yeah, so true. Because it's like they're already overwhelmed with trying to learn math online or
Yes.
English or whatever.
I just couldn't imagine. Like yeah,
Ah,
I feel for all of
yeah,
them.
we're doing like a hybrid type thing where basically they got to choose. So we started off all online the first
Uh-huh.
term, I guess. And then the first 6 weeks, maybe? I don't know. It's kind of a blur now. And then they got to
I
choose.
understand that.
They got to choose, I think, going into the second term, whether they wanted to stay online 100% or come in person. And so we basically have like two schools happening at the same time,
Oh
which is a
no.
little crazy, but we're making it work. And it
I
works out because,
imagine, yeah.
yeah, at least we have two dance teachers. So we're able to kind of like tag team. But I feel for the online
So
and
you're online and in person. Like you're juggling all that. Yeah, I
yeah,
have been really grateful. Like, there's some major challenges that come with teaching online, but the fact that I've been able to pour all of my energy into one form of teaching has been a lifesaver. I don't know what I would have done if we were hybrid.
yeah. I'm grateful that you're able to focus in on one area, and I definitely am super grateful to have a coworker that's super awesome and flexible, and like we're making it work. So,
Yes. No,
yay,
I'm
shout
sure
out
you
to
guys are
Kayla if she's
rocking it.
listening.
Hey, Kayla. Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, so good. This kind of ties into another question I had for you. What are some ways that you try to create like a safe environment, atmosphere, in a place where people feel like they can try new things? Because I know with creativity, it's very vulnerable, really, to like put yourself out there and try something new. And especially if you're doing choreography or like improvisation or something, but even just trying a new skill can be super intimidating. So have you found any things that have worked really well?
Absolutely. I think I've really gotten to experiment with that on this online platform even more than I have in the classroom. And it's been very interesting to me. I've given kind of some different surveys. Those are also my new favorite thing because I love getting feedback from my students about like, how is this going? Like, what are you
Yeah.
experiencing? It's like my new favorite. And it's been striking to me. The simple statement, like for a unit, is like, what was your favorite thing that we did? And they'll come back to like this question of the day we do during roll call. They all get an opportunity to answer a question of the day, and it can be, something dance related or what's your favorite color. But even just
Mm-hmm.
going through each kid, calling their name and giving them the opportunity to answer a question. And also, I always really make sure to make it clear that they don't have to answer any question they don't want to in that moment. They
Mm-hmm.
always have the power to just say pass. And I think I've seen that be an empowering thing to students, of just from the very beginning of class, they see that the ball's in their court, that they can express whatever like of themselves they would like to. And I think that's an empowering thing. And also just, again, a moment of expression and connection. And
Yeah.
as we've begun this term, we are doing like a virtual choreography unit. And that
Ooh.
was one of my first concerns, because if we were in person, that would be kind of the first thing I would do, is making sure, the environment was a very safe one so people can be very vulnerable, free, creativity can just really flow and grow. But that's hard to do over a Zoom
Yeah.
screen. So I think there's a making sure to really affirm and make directions really clear, I think has been a place of comfort, creating and moving together before like branching off to having to create something on their own, I think has been
Mm-hmm.
empowering. And then also something that we've been talking a lot as staff, kind of playing with, when are they, and this this could be a controversial topic, basically like, when are they required to have their video on and not? And
Yes.
like giving some flexibility to that, I think is something I plan to experiment with that more as we go along. Of that, there can be times where you can feel that privacy, because I think that's something that surprised me. Some of my most confident students, or who I consider to be some of my most confident students, have expressed how uncomfortable they are on screen all the time, and how uncomfortable it is to show your face, to show your home, on Zoom. That
Right.
can be this extremely vulnerable, uncomfortable process in and of itself. So then to, on top of that, have students give even more of themselves can be a big ask. So I think giving some freedom and some options, I think options are just a big key in what they can share, and
Mm-hmm.
giving some flexibility with, if there are times they're allowed to not have their video on, that can definitely be, and we've seen some very practical, real examples, that can be a safety thing. I think within schools, making sure who's actually in the room, and then also just a practicality thing of knowing that students are actually there and not like in the bathroom.
Exactly. And I'm like, you there? So-and-so, you there? Like,
exactly.
All righty, I'm gonna send you an email after class.
Can you hear me? Okay, well, and then just like move on.
Exactly. Yeah, that little awkward moment where everyone else is kind of like.
My favorite is like you're just staring at someone's ceiling fan for like.
And just so the listeners know, Carleigh is totally just showing me her ceiling right now. That was awesome. Real. And now I'm back on her face, so this is good. Yes, that's awesome. Yeah, such good practical wisdom, and I definitely am like, ooh, I need to try that. Oh, that sounds really good. Yeah, so for all you guys teaching virtually out there, hopefully this gives some new ideas or just encouragement to keep doing what you're doing.
So, yes, keep going. Awesome. We're all in this together.
It's real. In this together. Yes. Oh yeah. Perfect.
I feel like I started just doing Michael Jackson Thriller instead of High School Musical.
They're kind of similar in that moment. Hadn't thought about that.
Hey,
could do a little mashup.
Oh yeah.
So good. Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying this conversation with Carleigh. I just wanted to take a moment to share with you about Able. Able is an ethical fashion brand that employs and empowers women as a solution to end poverty. I love the concept that we can empower and change lives just by our purchases. Check out Able's variety of products. They've got everything from clothing to jewelry to shoes and bags. They're all high-quality products that you can feel good about. To check out their products, you can go to creativeimpactpodcast.com/able. That's creativeimpactpodcast.com/able. Also, if you're enjoying the show, I'd encourage you to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and to take a moment to rate and review the show. Your ratings and reviews help other people find the show and continue to grow our Creative Impact family. Now let's get back to my conversation with Carleigh. Before, I really would love to dive into just the value of arts in public education. But before we do you have any little stories or big stories that you want to share about, challenging moments or rewarding moments, anything that comes to mind?
There are so many. Oh man, no, there have been this job is absolutely the hardest and most rewarding thing I've ever done. And as far as work goes, and artistically in general, I think I've just grown and learned so much, and I have had incredible lows and extreme highs. I think, again, coming in at the beginning, there was just so much I didn't know, and I really came in with that very strong hand, which didn't always work out super well. But there's also, again, there's the transition of teachers. The teacher I was replacing had been there for a very long time, was very beloved, as she should be. She is wonderful. But then having to be, the new kid on the block, the new teacher, and having, different ideas and approaches, it didn't always go over well. And I had some really low moments the first year, particularly as I was getting my feet under me with understanding how to structure a class, how to really, manage and facilitate the room. I really feel like I had some major growing pains there, where I would I'd come into my principal's office after a class and just sit down and say, I need help. There were moments where I really felt like the train went off the rails. I didn't have the experience yet. So I think there were some really big lows there, and then some incredible highs. I think the ones that stick out are the moments that I've really gotten to connect with individual students. Oh man, which story I could tell? Okay. There's one that really sticks out. One of our high school boys, we have a handful of boys in our department. We love our dancer men. And I was inspired and felt this leading to create a solo with one of our high school boys and create it on him, kind of collaboratively with him, and it be about identity for him. And within that experience of really, I mean, I just kind of started out with, how do you see yourself and how do others see you? And seeing him open up so vulnerably in that moment and really share, I mean, his heart and his experience. I think it was really heartbreaking to hear. I think there were a lot of, and still are, I think that's something he's expressed to me, a lot of negative stereotypes that he has kind of like projected on him, particularly, and I'll speak to this. I think he would be comfortable with this. I won't use his name, particularly as a young African-American man.
Mm-hmm.
He spoke a lot to that experience for him. And I think I learned a lot from him in that moment, just understanding a little bit, just as he opened up about kind of how those negative stereotypes have affected him. And then we were able to kind of go through this process together of creating a dance about that, about the way he sees himself, the way other people see him, and just kind of working through that and seeing these moments of breakthrough for him. And I think for him, feeling the joy of truly being seen, and that I got to be there and express just at the very least, a genuine interest in truly knowing him. And then to see
powerful.
Him feel empowered in that moment and then share that on a stage, like with like the community, that was a moment that really sticks out to me. And a big part of it is just, it's the amazing students that I get to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And those moments where I see them beginning to grow up and become more of the people that they were created to be. And the fact that I get to be there and be a very small part of that is amazing to me. And it was such a privilege. So I think the memories like that, there's these moments, particularly of just this one-on-one individual connection.
Yeah.
Those are what stick out as those are the highest highs for me and probably always will be.
Yeah, that's so good and really speaks to a lot of what makes art so powerful in public education and education in general, but especially in public education. And we'd love to hear your heart, like your thoughts on that. And I guess the big question would be like, what do you believe the value of arts in public education is? Just whatever you want to share.
Absolutely. I absolutely believe in arts and public education and the value. I think it's an essential piece of educating the entire human.
Mm-hmm.
And I think having the arts presence, particularly not just in, the private sector of education and private dance studios or in private academic schools, but a part of public education is so central. I think I'm just a deep believer in public education in general. Up until college, I had only attended public schools and had a wonderful experience in my public school district in Tennessee that I grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
And am just a deep believer in education for all, on the K through 12 level that is free, accessible, and excellent. And I think having the arts as an integral part of that public education experience for every child is so important, because there is a certain intelligence, there is a certain understanding that comes only through experiencing the arts in a participatory way. And then also as a viewer, being exposed and being around the arts, there is a connection and understanding with the inner self that comes. There's a connection and understanding that comes with others that you really can only find, and is so well facilitated through the arts, and being surrounded by that from an early age and having that continue on throughout your entire education. It forms so much of who we are as people.
Yeah.
And really is a big essence, I think, of what makes us human, and continuing to be in touch with that humanity is something that we can't lose as the human race. And dear Louise, looking at our world right now, there's so much that we're grappling with. The arts are needed more than ever. I think particularly right now, we need creative problem solving. We need inspiration. We need to be able to be in touch with our inner self and with others in a healthy and constructive way. And that's what the arts bring.
Yeah.
And so having that as an integral and essential part of public education is just, it's mandatory in my mind. It's so necessary. And it's something that I desire for each and every child around the world, particularly within our public education system here in the United States.
Yeah, for sure.
And I
Nice.
could
Well
talk about
said.
I could talk about it for a really long time.
I love it. I love it so much. It's funny. I just remember we've had at least one phone call where we were like both like just yes and like on the soapbox a little bit like this is amazing.
It is. Like,
It is.
it's so true. I like geek out about it. And I can't imagine my, like, dance was always a part, but like I so vividly remember all of my art classes, especially all my music classes growing up. I was so blessed to have great arts in my public education experience, K through 12. And I just, now that I'm a teacher myself and I'm able to, reflect back on all those times, like I just see how much it formed me. And those are some of my most vivid memories from, like elementary school or from middle school, is being in my music classes, being a part of the arts. That's what stands out to me and really, again, has made me who I am. And so I want to be able to offer some of that experience to my students. And another part, I think, specifically thinking about APAC program, because I think there is something unique. It's not only this, a general music class or a general art class, that these are really these focused tracks where kids can come and study, audition for a specific art form, and if accepted, study, for 9 years. And I mean, by the time they graduate, they've really had some university level experiences and training within that. And something that I'm so excited about, again, of it being part of public education, is so many of our students would never have had, they couldn't have this experience, either because of where they live, there's no dance studio close to them that offers the styles that we do, or because of socioeconomic limits of that, they couldn't afford, their families couldn't afford, going to dance class 5 days a week, or transportation. There's just so many limitations that could come for the specific demographic that we serve. And it's there for them, and it's built into their school day. So being able to provide that opportunity for students, bring that equity piece is just so thrilling to me to get to be a part of that.
Yeah, so cool. So I'm curious, how would you encourage other people to advocate for arts and public education? And what are some ways that we can continue to foster that, I guess, and encourage that for our communities?
Absolutely. Well, I guess one of my first thoughts, and it's so different for everyone, but I think if and when you can send your children to a public education institution that you feel confident in, I would say do it. I think a big thing that I have seen and understood is that, especially now that I'm teaching from my school, but online. So I'm in this like empty school building. And I'm understanding now more and more that it's just, we talk about how special our school is, it's a really, Power APAC's a special place, but I so see that it's an empty building. It's the people that make it, that make it what it is. And it's not only just, the students and the teachers, it's the families.
Yeah.
And what public education needs, feel very strongly about, it needs to survive is committed families. We need invested parents that are also enthusiastic about the arts, with those connections there. And again, that forms really in that bigger circle of community. And if that's not a place that you're in, or that's not the right fit for your family, because I also understand that everyone's got, their own situation, continuing to support the arts, even just like attending performances, being a part of fundraisers, finding out what's going on with the arts in your community, and finding connections. If you are an arts organization, reaching out and finding what is going on within the public schools, within their art programs already, and seeing how you can foster, how you can partner. I think that's been some of the biggest joys for us, is starting with partnering with community organizations, partnering with other schools, with universities, with different, even the other like art forms. We've done some collaborations with the art museum here, and different things like that. And those are just they're so strengthening for our programs, and just continues to grow that network wider. And the wider that network is, the stronger it is too. And that support around those programs. And that also, and, there's this continual fear when it comes to, budget cuts or things like COVID, where you have to, fight even harder. It feels like, keep your programs alive because it's not as easy to imagine how you take them online. Arts kind of have a reputation to be the first thing to be cut because a lot of people don't consider them to be necessary or as important. But the larger you have, that community and that infrastructure already built in around the arts programs, that also it makes it a lot harder for them to go anywhere.
Yes, yeah.
The value is seen much bigger, and there's more investment there. So I say, however you can invest and connect, whether that is partnering on a project, always, giving financially if possible, because funding is limited for us all.
Exactly.
And so I think just, finding the ways to connect and support, whether that's going to see, a performance or a gallery show, for contributing financially or partnering in some way across organizations or across communities.
That's one of the most exciting things. I like to just give those opportunities to my students to work with other people, because I'm like,
yes,
it's awesome to get to teach you all the time, but like for you to get a variety of voices and experiences is so, so cool, and just super fun to watch them be like, wow, and like make new connections and, hear it from somebody different or hear totally new things, It's pretty exciting. Or to watch performances. And I love that they all did a collaboration with the art museum. That's so cool.
Yes, that was so, so neat.
Also, I was thinking about, I know probably for a lot of students, the arts are what keep them in school.
Yes.
That's
so true.
the only place that they feel maybe connected, like you said, or like they can somehow succeed, because I think a lot of times kids may feel like defeated in so many areas, and then, they're being defined by grades, which I guess we still have grades too, but, it's just a different, you kind of get a different sense of intelligence and ownership. And
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, and I've seen it be a great motivator academically for students as well. We've had, particularly with some of our elementary students, where, we're housed in the same building as our elementary students. So we get to have a relationship with their academic teachers, and, students struggling in class, either with, behavior, with their academic performance. Yeah. And then to get to partner with that teacher, often we're not having the same difficulties in dance, and seeing, okay, well, apparently that's where they're thriving. How can we connect that? I remember a moment last year, there was a sweet elementary school boy who was he was acting out in his class, and grades weren't going well. And his teacher told me that. And I was like, whoa, him? I was like, he's a gym in class. Like he's like model student. And I invited her to come watch him dance. And after that, everything just shifted. She came and watched him in class and got to affirm him and his abilities and his passion for dance, and everything just flipped. He felt seen. He felt seen and understood and valued by his teacher, and their whole relationship changed. And we saw his academic performance begin to change too.
That's incredible. That's gonna make me cry. That's so cool.
Yeah. Oh, it was just so cool. And the part that dance got to play in that for him, it was just fabulous.
So, so good. And I love what you said about family being so important, and the family investment and collaboration with the school and with that community it is huge. And thank you to people out there that are families that are also like kind of taking under your wing other kids too, because I feel like there's a need for that as well, that there are people that are supporting some other people in that program as well,
Absolutely. Takes a village
for sure. And I'm a huge believer in the power of family and strengthening families. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
So good. Well, yeah, we could talk about this for like a long time.
Yes, absolutely.
So good. Oh my goodness. But thank you for just sharing your heart on that. And then also just all the practical ways that, people can help to foster the arts, and especially in education. I love you just put it so eloquently. So thank you for sharing with us. I really appreciate it. And just kind of to wrap up, do you have something on your heart that you would like to share with other artists right now?
Absolutely. I think the two words that have come to mind, which I'm also kind of preaching to myself right now, is to be present and be patient. I think there's just a lot of anticipation right now. I think for all of us, we're in a very unique a unique time. And there's a lot of things I know I feel for myself that I'm ready to be done with, ready for this pandemic to be over. But this idea of being patient and being present, I think it's just very easy. It's been very easy for me as an artist, and as a person to want to live mentally in the future and put a lot of stock in, well, but one day when, when this is over, when even just like learning how to be a mom and transitioning through postpartum. Oh, dear Louise, that's a whole nother interview.
Yeah, we need part 2.
Being a dancer, after you have a baby. Like there's this whole journey that you're on as you're relearning your body after your body just produced a miracle. Like it is just, and so, but I find myself wanting to be past these bumpy times, be back to where I feel like I could have my full strength back, my full endurance and technique back. Like but I find myself wanting to be in the future, and I find myself continually being called to stay in the present and be patient and not to wish this time away. I think there's so much that I need to learn right here, right now. And I think for us as artists, as believers, wherever, if that's a part of your life, if faith is a part of your life, and there's just so much that I do need to press into and receive right now, because hopefully, we've talked about, I don't know how many times I've said the word unprecedented. These are unprecedented times.
Right.
And we hope that there will never be quite a time like this. And there's a lot of relief to that in some ways. But then there's also, I think, a lot of things to hold on to. I know there are deep ways that I'm learning and growing in this time in my own artistic practices and my teaching practices, and then just personally. And if I am constantly living with one foot out the door, then I miss the beauty that is happening. And if I just dismiss it as there is nothing to be here for, then I'm missing the gift that's in front of me.
Wow.
And so to receive, I think I would want to encourage other artists, even though it's uncomfortable, to receive the gift, because there is good that is here right now, and to be present with it, and be patient. I think something that comes to mind is particularly with yourself. I think there's a lot of expectations we put on ourselves as artists, and as our worlds have been turned upside down with this pandemic. I think there's a lot of push and a lot of just a lot of expectations we are wanting ourselves to keep up with everything we've done before, and then some. And there's a lot there, and this encouragement to release and allow yourself to take a step back and just, I don't know, I just have this picture in my head of holding that present, opening it, and really taking a look at what's inside and the goodness that is there for us right now.
That is beautiful. My phrase lately has been open hands, because it's like just hold it with open hands, Yeah, for sure. So good. I love that idea of like literally a present in the present, and like that there is a gift in this time, because it's so, I'm super tempted a lot to live in the future in my brain. For sure. Yeah, it's just a lot, and it's hard because sometimes it's painful to kind of be present where we are. But thank you for that encouragement. That's super good. Speaks to me right now.
Yeah. Keep going, everybody. Keep going.
Yes, exactly. And patience with ourselves, patience and understanding it's not going to be the same. And I've been amazed with, especially my students, just amazed with their really level of engagement and performance in the midst of all this. And I was like, honestly, they're really rocking it. And I'm like, and we're doing less rehearsal. Time is way limited, and just the different restrictions. But I kind of think that's how things go sometimes, is sometimes the more restrictions we are sort of forced to realize, wow, it really is more about quality, quality than quantity, and like focusing in on things that are really truly important and letting the rest kind of wash away.
Oh, well said.
Thanks. Like, let's go to the ocean.
Yes. Oh, that sounds amazing.
That reminded me of the ocean for the reason. So this is just for funsies, but what is one of your favorite things right now?
Favorite things? My child.
Totally valid.
Is my child laughing. and singing him songs. One thing that does come to mind is surveys. I really like surveys.
Yes.
And just to get to take the temperature, of class, of your students, and then in a similar way, the asking the question at the beginning of class and just opening up that place. That's one of my favorite things, and hearing what they have to say. Like I asked the question the other day, like, you could dress up as anything for Halloween. It doesn't matter if the costume like could be real or would be way too expensive. Like, what would you be? And hearing the answers that came out of them, like a student wanted to be a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with real peanut butter and jelly sandwiches she could hand out. Like, this is things that could
That's
come up.
amazing.
It's just too good.
Yeah,
so
you cannot make this stuff up.
No. So those are just real points of joy, I think, right now in my life. And it's these moments of connection, I think, are my favorite right now. So even if they have to be virtual, feeling the connection.
So good. Yay. Well, lastly, if someone wanted to kind of be in touch or like learn more about y'all's program, especially if they're listening in Mississippi, you never know. They could be in Jackson, or possibly just to kind of connect with you and kind of chat some more, what would be the best way to get in touch?
Absolutely. I wish I was more in touch, on social media. I have an email, and it's dunbarcarleigh@gmail.com. Please reach out. Also, my information is on the Power APAC website. And actually, this is a fun fact. We will be having next school year, we just voted on a new school name, actually.
Oh, okay.
And we are voted on a new school namesake, to be more specific. And we will be named after Miss Ida B. Wells next year.
Cool.
So we are very excited. Native Mississippian activist and journalist, Miss Ida B. Wells. We're proud and excited to have her represent our school and our student body. So we are going to be Wells APAC next year. So if you see a change, where did the power go? It became Wells.
Cool.
So that is us. But we have a presence online just through Power APAC as part of Jackson Public Schools. Just a quick Google search will bring you to us, and there's all information there. There's video footage and pictures from all of our departments. We have, I didn't outline this earlier. This is cool and important. So we have 4 areas of the arts. We have dance, and our focus is ballet, modern, and jazz. We also do master classes in African and hip hop and other dance styles, but those are our main focus.
Gotcha.
We also have a visual arts department and a theater department and a music department that's divided into 3 emphasis, one being piano, the other being vocal, and the third being strings. So there's a lot to offer. We have yearly auditions in the spring, and students can enter our program in 4th all the way through 9th grade. So you don't have to start at the beginning and end, or 12th grade, I'm sorry. So you can enter at any point through auditioning. And it's just a really great opportunity. So if you are listening and in the Jackson area, come visit us at Power APAC. We'd love to have you.
Yay! That would be so cool if this created a connection. That would be really cool.
Would be amazing.
Yes. Well, Carleigh, thank you so much for sharing your heart and just your passion for the arts and for your students. And this has been such an amazing, encouraging time for me. So I love you, and we love you collectively as listeners.
Oh, I love you. And thank you again for having me here with you guys today. It was an honor and a blessing.
I'm so thankful for Carleigh and her passion for teaching and bringing impact to people's lives through the arts. I hope that this show has been an encouragement to you today. If you'd like to hear even more from Carleigh, we have exclusive bonus content on our Patreon site. You can check out our Patreon community by going to creativeimpactpodcast.com/Patreon. That's creativeimpactpodcast.com/Patreon. Patreon is an awesome platform where you can help be a part of supporting the show, and then in return receive bonus content and extra behind-the-scenes looks at what goes into the podcast. Next week, Debbie Weens joins me on the show. Debbie is the founder of Reflection School of Dance, and you'll get to hear about her journey in starting her own studio and how she's continued forward during the pandemic. Thank you so much for listening to the Creative Impact Podcast. The music for the show was produced by Michael Cash. Share the show with a friend, check out the bonus content on our Patreon page, and I'll see you next week for my conversation with Debbie Weens.